Right now, the latest on a mass shooting in Michigan that left several people dead inside of a church. Also, people march on the Capitol for a climate change rally. Our Tanisha Shaw speaks to protesters. And we're following the crash from over the weekend that left one Madison police officer with serious injuries. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. We begin with breaking news out of Michigan. A gunman rammed his truck into a Michigan church and opened fire on Sunday morning while church services were going on. CBS News' Terrell Bailey has more.
The violence unfolded shortly after 10 Sunday morning at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. A gunman rammed his truck into the building where a church service was going on and opened fire using what authorities say was an assault rifle.
The service was active. There was hundreds of people within the church.
Authorities say at least 4 people were killed.
Let me say we are heartbroken. This kind of violence doesn't happen in our community, and we are heartbroken that it came to Grand Blanc Township.
The gunman was killed by police. Authorities believe the gunman, a 40-year-old Michigan man, intentionally set fire to the church. The fire quickly spread, engulfing the entire structure in flames before it was eventually brought under control. Authorities say the search continues for more victims.
So we're working tirelessly to find additional bodies. The entire church has not been cleared because it's a total loss due to the fire. So these first responders right now, they're in recovery mode. They're trying to fight through all the debris.
At a Sunday evening press conference, officials hailed the bravery of those gathered in the church when the gunman opened fire.
I'd also like to acknowledge the heroism of not only the first responders, but the people who were inside that church at the time. They were shielding the children who were also present within the church, moving them to safety. Just hundreds of people just practicing their faith.
Authorities say they believe the gunman acted alone and are working now to determine a motive. Terrell Bailey, CBS News, Grand Blanc, Michigan.
A number of leaders have condemned the shooting, including President Trump, who said the shooting appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the U.S. Our thoughts are certainly with those impacted in today's events. Hard to transition from this one, but let's try our best, Alex. What's going on as we head into the work week?
Yeah, Jalen, we'll just get right to the facts here. Warm temperatures, very warm temperatures, 86 for high temperature on Monday. And by the end of the week, we're still going to be seeing temperatures in the mid 80s. And as we go even further out into the future, Tuesday going to Wednesday, days 9 and 10, we're going to have a frontal system coming through. So some rain is going to make its way back into the forecast to get us to those cooler temperatures. Right now, 10:30 at night, we're still 64 in Madison, still 66 in Platteville, still in the low to mid 60s along the Wisconsin-Illinois border, but as cool as 48 in Camp Douglas. That tends to be one of the cooler spots. Here in Dane County, we got 67 down the highway in Verona, 63 up 151 in Sun Prairie. Again, that's 64 at the airport. Mild temperatures out across the area. Right now, these are closer to our normal high temperatures for this time of year. We will track, when I come back in a little bit, some patchy fog potential overnight tonight. That warm week, it's going to stick around. And how about that rain? What days will we expect the potential for that rain, and what are the chances of that rain? I'll let you know when I come back in just a little while.
All right, sounds good, Alex. We'll see you then. As always, you can track the forecast for yourself on the First Warn Weather app if you can't tune in. It is hourly planners, road conditions, and even radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store and just search WISC Weather. We are continuing to follow the incident that left one Madison police officer in the hospital after crashing into a truck. A 36-year-old male is in custody. The image you see on your screen is shared to us by the Monona Police Department. That is the truck that would eventually crash into the officer. Monona Police shares with us Saturday they received a call just before 2 p.m. about a tow truck driving recklessly on Highway 51. They would eventually locate the driver at a BP gas station on East Broadway. The driver would lead officers on a chase, and during the chase, Madison police assisted. And the driver, while eluding officers, would collide head-on with the Madison police officer on Terminal Drive just south of Highway 51. After the collision, the driver of the truck jumped from his vehicle and ran from officers. Following a brief foot pursuit, a 36-year-old male was taken into custody. Police say he has an outstanding probation and parole warrant. In an update from Madison PD, they say the officer suffered serious injuries but is in stable condition. The suspect now faces charges of felony eluding, reckless driving, resisting an officer, and multiple traffic violations. Police say he was also involved in a collision prior with an MOPD squad car. Now, every year at Columbus High School during their homecoming game, the Columbus Fire Department raises a huge American flag and has a special flag ceremony on the 50-yard line. Our Nash Dara was there this past Friday to check it out.
Every year, Tower 93 comes to a Columbus Cardinal football game, and this year is no different. The fire crew is out here raising a giant American flag in what is truly a special event. The homecoming game this past Friday was the matchup to be at between the Columbus Cardinals and the Clinton Cougars. But added pregame ceremonies from the Columbus Fire Department made parking that much harder to find.
These guys do a heck of a job setting it up every year. And, we know they're our customers and all the patrons of Columbus really get a kick out of this. And I think it's great for the kids to show that we're willing to help them out.
Along with preparing the 50-foot flag, the unit does a special flag raise from the 50-yard line during the national anthem. 2 men climb the 35-foot ladder holding American flags, while the rest of the team serves as anchors and spotters to make sure the ladder holds its stabilization.
Being out in the center of the field, it's an honor to be out there as a member of the Columbus Fire Department.
Now, the fire department loves coming to the high school for these games, but Fire Chief Scott Hazeltine has his mind set out for maybe trying Camp Randall someday.
I said someone will come along and say they want us to do it at a Badger game sometime, but I don't know, they might get shell-shocked and not want to go.
After the fantastic ceremony, the game was underway, and the Cardinals of Columbus would go on to win 42-0. The football game itself obviously brings in a big crowd, but adding a special event like this makes it that much better. In Columbus, Nash Dara, News 3 Now.
Maybe someday we will see Columbus Fire Department at a Badger game. I think that'd be pretty cool. Nash, thank you for reporting on that. Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin will temporarily stop abortion services this week. They're planning to pause appointments after a bill that passed in July that takes effect on October 1st. The bill, better known as the Big Beautiful Bill, cuts Medicaid funding. The nonprofit says they will resume full reproductive care as soon as possible. Planned Parenthood serves about 50,000 people across the state. 60% are covered by Medicaid. 3 of Wisconsin's 24 locations provide abortions. The clinics are in Madison, Milwaukee, and Sheboygan. The Sheboygan Clinic provides medication abortions only. The other 2 also offer surgical. The nonprofit also provides STD testing, pregnancy testing and planning, emergency contraception, birth control, among others. Now, if you saw princesses running around a pumpkin patch earlier that wasn't Cinderella, I promise you weren't hallucinating. Today, Schuster's Farms of Deerfield held their Princess and Pumpkins event. The title describes the event perfectly. Families were able to head to the farm for a day of fall fun at a pumpkin patch while everyone dressed up like princesses. We caught up with one of the organizers on how you didn't need to say bibbidi-bobbidi boo for magic to fill the air.
It's really pretty special as the ticket people come in and you just kind of see all the little girls in princess dresses. And then when the princesses actually arrive of our professional ones, and there's just the swarm of little princesses through the backyard getting excited to get a chance to meet their favorite princess.
The event ran from the morning through the early afternoon. Protesters took over downtown Madison today for the climate march. College students, researchers, and community leaders marched to show support for clean energy. Our Tanisha Shaw has more from the Capitol.
That's why we're gathered here. That's why we're gathered here.
Leah Gutierrez is a student at UW that's dedicating her Sunday to advocate for clean energy at the Wisconsin Climate March.
It's affecting us every day, and just because it's not truly affecting like the way we breathe on the daily basis doesn't mean it isn't real.
Here at this protest, everyone that I spoke to has the same exact message, that climate change will impact everyone, no matter your age or where you live.
It affects us from heat waves air pollution, mosquito-borne diseases, malnutrition, flooding, a million ways. There's so many pathways through which climate affects our health.
I mean, we are here on September 28th, and it's 80-something degrees out. It should not be like that in Madison.
We get to be outside, and there's no reason that should be taken away from us.
Gutierrez studies fashion and sustainability and says she hopes her being here will inspire other students to speak out.
I also want to tell my kids that I did work for it. Like, our world is going absolutely insane, and what we do right now is going to decide what happens in the...
We all have to eat food. We all have to drink water. It is becoming much harder for agriculture in America to become actually productive in a sustainable way. And that's going to impact our food prices. It's going to impact availability of water.
Emily Park helped organize this event through 350 Wisconsin and says unless the government works to preserve the planet, we won't have a functioning climate.
Our scientific institutions are being undermined, and that is all holding us back from taking the critical action on climate that we desperately need to have a livable future.
There's been a mountain of scientific evidence that supports the fact that climate change is a risk to public health.
Reporting in Madison, Tanaja Shaw, News 3 Now.
Next on News 3 Now at 10, more Americans are investing into the stock market. Plus, President Trump is set to hold a crucial meeting Monday with congressional leaders from both parties as government funding is set to run out on Tuesday.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
When it comes to money, many Americans are choosing to invest in the stock market. Information from the Federal Reserve shows 45% of households' financial assets in the second quarter of this year were invested in stocks. Some of those investments are part of mutual funds or retirement plans that Americans own. The Fed's data shows this is the highest investment in stocks than ever before. Economists say while many Americans might be happy about their holdings, they see potential problems. They say a market downturn could hit Americans' finances pretty hard, in part because it comes at a time when the labor market is fragile and inflation is still sticking around. Economists also warn that wealthy Americans are benefiting right now from stock investments, and wealthy Americans in turn help drive the economy. They make up nearly 50% of consumer spending. On Monday, President Trump hosts a last-ditch talks with congressional leaders to avoid a government shutdown. There's also new details about the unusual mass gathering of top military brass in Washington this week.
With a Tuesday deadline fast approaching and with it a partial government shutdown, both sides are digging in. Democrats say funding for health care must be part of the negotiations.
We want to find bipartisan common ground to find a spending agreement that avoids a government shutdown and actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being.
But Republicans want to pass a temporary spending bill that would fund the government through November 21st.
The purpose of the meeting is so that the president can assemble the four leaders, the two top leaders in both chambers, to come in and have this discussion. And I talked with him at length yesterday about this, and he's going to tell Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to stop playing political games.
The latest funding debate different this time, with President Trump threatening mass firings in addition to furloughs. And this weekend, the president making a new threat to send troops to Portland, Oregon, which he calls war-ravaged. In a social media post over the weekend, Trump said the troops would protect the city and ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. On Sunday, Oregon officials filed suit against the Trump administration, challenging the deployment.
There is no insurrection or threat to public safety that necessitates military intervention in Portland or any other city in our state.
And we're learning that President Trump will attend a meeting on Tuesday with hundreds of America's top military leaders who will travel from around the globe to Quantico, Virginia. Now, a meeting of this scale in such short notice is rare, if not unprecedented. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
We'll certainly be tracking that as we enter the work week. But speaking of the work week, Alex, what should we expect as we enter it?
As we enter, we expect summer-like temperatures. You'd think, I know we're back to school, you would not be thinking the temperatures that we're going to be seeing this week are any temperatures that you would expect towards the end of September. But first, it's preceded with a little bit of patchy fog, and the three things you need to know. Warm through the entire week, and I got some good news. We do have some rain in the forecast, a little better chances as we head a little bit later into the upcoming weekend. Visibility is not expecting widespread dense fog, but just some pockets of dense fog. You know the areas if you are susceptible to them. Wisconsin River Valley over towards Kettle Moraine might see some localized patchy dense fog. Nonetheless, take that seriously. If you're up on that hill and you get down into the valley and you see that dense fog, just take it easy when you get into that fog because you never quite know what's in that area of dense fog. So after that fog burns off, after temperatures in the 50s to near 60 in some cases, 57 in Platteville, 55 in Madison, 53 in Baraboo, we're going to burn that fog off, and I boost the temperatures up for a high temperature of 86 in Madison, 87 in Janesville, 87 in Baraboo, 87 in Lone Rock, and the normal high for this time of year, 68 degrees. You can do the math. That's a 20-degree difference, unprecedented temperatures. In fact, our high tomorrow, I should have updated this here, but that should say 86 degrees, is 4 degrees shy of the previous record, 90, set back in 1953. So we're going to be pretty close to that record high temperature, with temperatures through the rest of the week staying in the upper 70s to the lower 80s, and then Friday's high of 84 and Saturday's high of 80. Friday's high of 85, Saturday's high of 84. That's going to be very close to breaking records. So record or near record warmth the entire week. Now behind me here, here's that good news with the rain chances. Got about a 30 to 40% coverage as a weather system and a cold front bring scattered showers and some thunderstorms, especially as we go Monday night going on into Tuesday, and then cooler temperatures as we head towards Wednesday. But it's probably going to be a very short-lived period of cool air because as we go further into October, the likelihood across pretty much the entire United States being above normal is very, very high, although we will keep above normal rain chances for the upper Midwest as we head out towards the middle of October. And again, we do need the raindrops. Speaking of raindrops, let's talk about the tropics, as I'm sure some of you may have family and friends along the East Coast. The latest here on Hurricane Umberto is going to continue to move off towards the middle of the Atlantic and the North Atlantic and out to sea. That's good news. It will spare the East Coast. And then the very latest on Tropical Storm Imelda right now is that as Imelda moves off towards the north, it too is going to take a quick turn off the coast and out to sea, and that's certainly good news for the Carolinas, although do not be surprised with these two systems in place here that the surf will likely be quite high along the East Coast. But the good news is that we have those tropical systems moving out to sea. Other good news here, this is from Verona. Oliver's mom sent us this picture that Oliver took of the sunrise in Verona. And again, I think this is a skate park. You and I were talking about that earlier, Jalen. If you look in the very, very, very lower right, there's a skateboard there, but more prominent is that beautiful sun coming up above the horizon. And if you want to send us your weather photos, if you're sitting at home, all you have to do is just go to the First Warn Weather app, click the More button in the lower right, and then submit your photos, and then we can show them right on air.
So by sending in that photo, Oliver showed us that he's talented in two ways. Obviously as a photographer.
Yes.
And then he's showing that most people like, hey, I'm a pretty good skateboarder as well, so.
And and apparently wakes up early in the morning.
Yeah,
catch the sunrise.
Yeah, earlier when I saw the photo this evening, I was like, is that a skate park?
Yes.
He's at?
Yes.
Because the sun, I don't want to say kind of washes out, but I saw, like the half cylinder. And I was just like, huh.
You had to look really close. And then
typically we don't get weather photos of places like a skate park, so it stood out to me.
Yeah, not typically, but I'm glad we got the photo. It was a pretty sunrise and a nice way to start off Sunday and a nice way to end Sunday evening here with the show that we got to show it.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you, Alex. Coming up in sports, the Brewers are looking to set a franchise record. Those highlights and more after the break. It's a historical day for a couple of Wisconsin-based teams today, but we'll start with the Badgers women's volleyball team, who are still one of the best in the country. The Badger women taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. To the second set, match point, Badgers serve and Hawkeyes would return, but the Badgers would get the huge block to take the second set. Now we're going to head to the third set here. In just a second, match point yet again. Hawkeyes return, but Carter Booth would lay down the hammer. What a day for the Badgers. They win 9 straight matches against the Hawkeyes and 27 straight sets. The Badgers win it again in straight sets again today. And this marks Kelly Sheffield's 600th win for the Badger women volleyball team. It's been a pretty exciting year for the Brewers. They were one of the first teams to clinch a playoff berth. Saturday, they clinched the 1 seed, and today they're looking to make team history. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Brewers down 2-0, but that would change quick. One in Danny Jansen would get the party going. He hits a 2-run homer. Brewers would go up 3-2. Then later in the frame with a man on, Andrew Vaughn, who's been a revelation for the Crew, lines one up deep to center off for an RBI double. Brewers would go up 2, and they wouldn't look back. They go on to win it, beating the Reds 4-2, setting a franchise record with a 97th win on the season. And as it stands right now, the Packers and Dallas are in overtime. Dallas just kicked the field goal. Micah Parsons looking to get revenge against his former team. He has a sack on the day. Jordan Love with over 300 passing yards and 3 TDs. Josh Jacobs with 2 scores on the ground. And Romeo Doubs with a hat trick of his own. And join Andrew for next week's Wisconsin Huddle, live at Jay's Bar on Madison on Monday at 7 p.m., featuring a new co-host, Wisconsin Volleyball's Jada Chernekayu. That's it for sports. A final check of your first warn forecast is coming up when we return. A look at our box office numbers this weekend. The Strangers Chapter 2 opened in 5th place, scaring up $5.9 million. The Conjuring Last Rites made $6.9 million, falling to 4th place. And Demon Slayer, the movie Infinity Castle, took 3rd place with $7.1 million. Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, based on the streaming series for preschoolers, rolled out in 2nd place, earning $13.7 million. And One Battle After Another, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, debuted on top. Paul Thomas Anderson's critically acclaimed comedic action thriller opened with $22.4 million. A
lot of good movies there.
Ooh. I'm a huge movie watcher, but I'd be remiss before we go. We have a birthday here in our newsroom this evening. One of the key members of our entire news operation, Aaron Turk. Today is his birthday. He's in the booth right now, so happy birthday, Aaron.
Happy birthday,
we thank
Aaron.
you for everything that you do for us here at News 3 Now. But Alex, heading into tomorrow, it's another holiday. It is National Coffee Day. So as we enter National Coffee Day in the work week, what should we expect?
You can have, I'll have my 1 cup of coffee, waking up to temps in the 50s. Normal lows are in the 40s and normal highs are in the upper 60s. We're going to be in the upper 80s. Can you believe that? We'll be pushing near record warm tomorrow, near record warmth by the end of the week, and then some shower and thunderstorms finally early in the following week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Alex. Thank you all for joining us. Seinfeld is up next. News 3 Now this morning starts at 4:30.